Salem's Lot. Now, in essence, for about 400 pages, this book is is this is the in a nutshell. In a nutshell, this book is a lot of, you know, oh gee whiz, guys, are vampires here? Are vampires in Jerusalem's Lot? I don't know. Ruby, Ruby, Roo. Uh, it's it's um, it's a bit lackluster. It's a bit of a downer. Definitely a hassle and a drag. A book that has such a incredible cover shouldn't be this disappointing. And I would say that Salem's Lot is a bit disappointing. When it comes to Stephen King, for somebody, who has read libraries, who has seen every movie possible, who has seen every TV show, every B movie, this guy has consumed vast quantities of just content, horror, and everything else, right? And you're telling me the master of horror, in his prime, in his heyday, Salem's Lot is one of the touted novels, right, of his golden age, and you're telling me the master of horror can produce this? This is mid. Listen, Salem's Lot is mid at best. Mid. Of course, there are exceptions. There are a few sections here and there that are outstanding, but overall, if we're being honest, like this is nothing. This barely scratches the surface of anything, right? So and I can, and probably Salem's Lot is somebody's favorite Stephen King novel, and if it is, please tell me in the comment sections why, because I simply cannot understand why this is, regarded so well by so many readers. This book is just a whole lot of nothing. A whole lot of nothing. Okay, for a couple of 100 pages, 400 pages, you're just like, okay, bro, come on. Something has to happen. Something has to, something has to give. This book needed a 360 change in terms of its pace, in terms of its narrative, because after a couple of 100 pages, it has the effect of putting the reader to sleep. So this book needed to do something to wake up the reader. A change of pace was extremely necessary. It didn't really happen. And Salem's Lot is the perfect example of where, the old maxim, show don't tell, doesn't apply at all, because there is barely anything here that is said. Even the subtlest of subtleties are just inexistent, vague. I, as a reader, needed to know certain things. I, as a reader, needed to be told certain things. Show don't tell, it doesn't even apply here. It's inexistent. Okay, there are certain things here, clues or hints, that are just barely touched upon, and that's about it. See you later, alligator. There is a big thing when it comes to this story, is that there's this house or mansion called Marston's house or villa, whatever it is. I guess it is a sort of nod to Shirley Jackson's famous book with the haunted house, I guess, but that's pretty much it. There is this house, Marston's house, and it's on a hill, and everybody is creeped out by it. It's been here for over 100 years. Everybody's creeped out by it. The house obviously has an evil presence. It is nefarious. Its atmosphere, its ambiance is dark, evil, if you would like to say. And as I was reading, I kept on wondering, okay, so what the hell is up with this haunted house, this Marston's house. Something has to be here that ties everything together. Something has to be revealed, and this revelation will be so stupendous that it will just tie everything together in a nice bow, and you will be awestruck. It doesn't happen. In Marston's house, this guy, he was rich. Something happened. We don't know. We don't know anything. This guy went crazy, killed his wife, and then he killed himself. And that is pretty much it. See you later, alligator. And apparently this guy Marston had ties with these vampires, maybe with the head vampire. We don't know. We don't know anything about anything. The guy Marston just went bananas one day, killed his wife, and then killed himself. And apparently he still haunts the house, but not really. And, I was thinking, okay, you know what it is? This is my imagination going wild, my paranoia even. I was thinking, this guy Marston, he probably realized that these vampires were coming over to do some mischief. And Marston said, "Oh shit, this is all my fault. I'm gonna check out." And he committed, and he hung himself. That would have been nice. Even that is not explained at all, and we are left with a lot of questions, and I would say zero answers. And this is what happened to me, folks, because nothing of the sort, not even a trifling minutia, is explained in the most simplistic manner. All of these questions, by the end, don't really concern me. By the end of this book, I don't care about Marston's house and Marston himself, and I don't care about the vampires, and I don't care to find out anything about the vampires, and even more depressing, I don't even care about our main characters. Not really. Right? This is the effect that Salem's Lot has. This is the effect of the book, of the story. And this is, listen, the characters, all right. As always, Stephen King can write decent characters that are three-dimensional human characters, of course. And I thought that our protagonist, I thought that our protagonist was gonna do something. The fact that he came back to Salem's Lot, I thought something was gonna go down, and not really. By the middle point of this book, the protagonist is just some guy who falls in love, and he just goes around and meets this girl's parents, and oh boy, the vampires are here. Oh boy, and that's pretty much it. By the middle point of this book, the protagonist is just some guy. That's the problem. Whatever you say, whatever your opinion is about writing, about storytelling, this is the base. This is the most simplistic, basic thing. Your protagonist, whatever he or she may be, no matter the story, your protagonist has to stand out in some way. Your protagonist has to be a bit different from everybody else. And in this book, the protagonist, I forgot his name, Ben Mears. He's just some dude, and he comes here and he rents an apartment, and he writes a book, and he goes on dates, and he meets this girl's parents, and I'm just like, what is this? I thought this guy was gonna explore, this haunted house, something. And again, for hundreds of pages, I'm repeating myself, for hundreds of pages, these characters are like, gee whiz, guys, are vampires in Salem's Lot? I don't know. Let's Ruby Roo, Scooby-Doo. I'm exaggerating, of course, but it's just so embarrassing. And I would say this is the main classification of Salem's Lot. The fact that these characters for hundreds of pages are just pondering and investigating and cogitating and just meditating on the possibility that perhaps indeed, old sport, vampires are indeed in our midst in Salem's Lot. I'm just like, bro, come on. And there's this I think he is a professor, and he just does research on vampires and ghosts and goblins. And I'm just like, oh my god, this guy is actually reading old, Eastern European tomes about fucking vampires and Strigoi. And I'm just like, oh. And I understand this book was written in a different time. I think it was in the late 70s, maybe early 80s. I'm trying not to be too harsh on Stephen King here, but this is just, you're telling me the master of horror in his heyday, when he was sniffing glue like crazy, you're telling me Stephen King, who has consumed every piece of media and entertainment regarding, vampires, werewolves, etc., and you're telling me this is the best that he can do with the vampire? Okay, and and another thing, the vampires themselves. Oh boy, here we go. Now that I think about it, I think this book is also a nod to the original film Nosferatu. But listen, another thing that is a bit embarrassing, that doesn't really hold any water, is that, this guy comes in town and he just looks like dead ass. He's dead ass looking like Nosferatu. He's bald. He's got weird fingers. He's pale as hell. He's got weird eyes. He's just weird. This guy is weird. This guy is just dead ass Nosferatu incarnate, right? And everybody in town is like, yeah, this guy's pretty weird. This new addition to our town, and he be looking weird. He got weird fingers, but they don't mind. And let me tell you, if this dude popped up, in front of me, I'd be bringing out the garlic. Because this guy, from the description, is dead-ass Nosferatu. He's dead-ass Nosferatu. And everybody in Jerusalem's light is like, whatever. Whatever, right? But back to the vampires. Even the vampires in this book are just lame, okay? They are just lame. They're not creepy. They're not scary. The fact that people are getting turned again, over and over again. People are just being turned into vampires. We're losing people. And I don't really care. Even the love interest of our protagonist, I forgot her name. Was it Sally or Sadie? I liked her as a character, as a person. But when she turns into a vampire, and it is tragic, don't get me wrong. I understand that when Sally or Sadie, whatever her name is, when she turns into a vampire, it's just a tragic, sad moment. It is, but I didn't really care at all. I was just like, oh well. Right? And that's it. That is the end of her story, period. And I would, this is how I would write. There should be some, like, resistance. There should be a little bit, a fragment of morsel of resistance when people are getting turned, especially, a secondary character like the love interest of Ben Mears. We care about these people in a way. And when they turn, I'm just like, okay, right? So there should have been a bit of resistance when it comes to turning into a vampire. And there should be a fragment of the people left when they turn, but when they turn, they just turn into the stereotypical vampire who's out to get you. Who's out to get you? Let me in, little pigs. And I'm just like, really? And I understand that this thing about inviting a vampire in is just like part of the folklore. It's part of the lore. But it's still goofy. Okay, it's still goofy. I understand it's part of the lore, the folklore of the vampire in of itself, but it's just so goofy, right? These people can fly, these people can turn, and you're telling me they have to invite you in? Like, get out of here, you bum, right? And And I would have wanted, you see, because when I'm reading stuff like this, my imagination always goes crazy. I would have wanted to experience what it's like to turn into a vampire and be a vampire. What are the transformations? What are the all of the implications involved here? The people should be wrestling with this, like wrestling with a demon. They just turn like this. They just turn like this, and that's it. They're okay with it. They have absolutely no compunction, no regret, no hesitation when it comes to eating other people and turning people into vampires and sucking their blood. There's nothing there. There is no battle. Once you are turned, it's over. It's over, and that's it. And whatever personality that character or that person used to have, it's over. It has been deleted, and every every person that has been turned into a vampire becomes the stereotypical, I just want to suck your blood, look at me, ugh, I'm creepy, ugh. Right? It's just so, ugh. It's just, I don't want to talk about cliches and stereotypes, but they're a bit prominent in this book. And there is something here that caught me off guard, and maybe you can explain maybe you can explain this to me, because I simply just didn't understand it. And this issue is Father Callahan. Okay, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to what was being said. But Father Callahan, the priest, from what I understand, he gets turned into a vampire, or he becomes like a lackey of the vampire. I don't know. Something happens to him. He gets turned in a way. He becomes a servant of darkness, because after he gets turned, he goes back to the church, to his church, and when he tries to open the door, he touches the doorknob, and his hand catches fire, because now he is impure, he is unclean, he has been corrupted by evil, right? And so Father Callahan, for some reason, is not fully a vampire, not fully human, and he just leaves town. And I'm just like, huh? Right? Again, maybe I wasn't paying close attention, but this is inexplicable to me. Isn't he tied to the main vampire? Isn't he like a servant, a slave to the head vampire, Barlow, or whatever his name is? And he still retains his humanity, and he just abandons everybody and just hightails it out of town and just leaves everybody to the vampires, right? How is this possible? Because I have been spoiled that he makes a return in the Dark Tower series. I'm gonna read it one of these days, right? But still, it's just how is this possible? Is this like a red herring, a retcon? I don't know. I don't know what it is. It doesn't make any sense. He is turned by the main vampire, Barlow, and he just retains his conscience, he retains his personality, his willpower. He is not enslaved to the will of the head vampire, and he just does whatever he wants, and he just skedaddles out of town, and that's about it. And I'm just like, whoa, what a terrible person, first and foremost, right? Doesn't make any sense. And here is probably my last criticism. The main vampire, Barlow, or whatever his name is, the way, when he talks, it's interesting. He talks, oh, I was ancient when Rome or Babylon were young, etc., etc. He has seen shit. He's been here for a long time. And the problem is, to me at least, is that we don't really fully explore his character. This is the antagonist we're talking about here. He is a monster. He is an extremely ancient vampire, and he is a bit superficially written. He is a bit one-dimensional. He is basically a stereotype or a cliche. He is the evil bad vampire. Ooh. We don't really find out a lot about his backstory. We don't really find out who he was as a person. We don't really find out what his deal is. His deal is just, oh, I'm going to turn people into vampires and we're going to eat everybody. And that's about it. That's about it. And I'm just like, okay, bruh. Okay, bruh. Okay. It barely, again, barely scratching the surface. I wanted more from the main vampire, from the main antagonist. There's nothing really there. What is his connection to Marston and his haunted house? Right? Even his powers are barely there. Like, I guess he I don't even know what his powers are. He's just a bit more stronger than your average vampire. I don't know. Because he gets taken out fairly easily. Barely an inconvenience, right? But I will give Stephen King his props, because we all know, if you've read a decent amount of Stephen King, that he has extreme trouble with coming up with an ending. But in this, I was pleasantly surprised, because the ending is a bit grim. The ending is a bit dark. The ending is a bit depressing. The ending is somber and mature, because the two survivors, Ben Mars and this kid Mark, who is incredibly brave, they escape Salem's Lot and they're just traumatized. But by the end of this book, they come back to Salem's Lot and they're here to finish the job. They're gonna take out all of the vampires, their families, their friends, their neighbors, all of these people. The entire town of Salem's Lot has been turned into vampires. And these two dudes, a man and a boy, are coming back, and they're setting everything on fire, and they're ready to stake all of these vampires. And I was like, okay, this is somber, this is dark, and it is, it is like, it has nothing even remotely happy or inspiring or, positive. The ending is just, we're cooked. Like, the ending, if I were to summarize the ending is, we're cooked, we're done for, and I like that. Even though by the end I'm not really concerned. By the end I'm a bit indifferent. I'm detached. I don't care about these people. Unfortunately, I'm still impressed by the ending. The ending, it goes hard, and I like that. Okay, so this was a Salem's Lot. I had a lot of expectations. Most of them were not met. But it is what it is, okay? That's about it. If you want to support your boy, if you enjoy this content, I got a few books on Amazon. The link will be down below. If the link does not work, you can search my name, Griffith Samsara. Thanks for watching. Keep on reading good books. See ya.